Alpharetta or Johns Creek? Which one is better? You're trying to figure out where to move, so I'm giving you direct comparisons, and today we're putting Alpharetta and Johns Creek against each other, comparing them across 8 categories, awarding points, and declaring a winner. Categories are population density, downtowns, location, home prices, healthcare, schools, safety, and things to do. Hey, my name's Joel. I'm a local realtor here in the metro Atlanta area. If you want to know what it's like to live, work, and play around here, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notifications bell so you can stay up to date on everything there is to know about living around Atlanta. Let's get into it. If we're talking about how a city feels, Alpharetta and Johns Creek are very different. There's certainly a downside to Alpharetta being so popular over the years. So many people have moved here and they kept building and building to accommodate. If you're the type of person that needs space, this isn't for you. If you want larger lots but are not willing to spend more than $1 million on a home, then this isn't for you. Some residents also feel that Alpharetta is losing a bit of its small town charm as it continues to develop with new businesses, high-rise apartments, and shopping centers. Some long-time locals, like real long time, miss the quieter, more suburban feel that it once had, which again, was a while ago. Johns Creek, on the other hand, offers a noticeably different vibe when it comes to population density and its overall layout. It's more residential by nature with much less commercial development. You're gonna find more green space, slightly larger lot sizes throughout much of the city. If you're someone who values privacy, quieter neighborhoods, and maybe just a little bit more breathing room between houses, Johns Creek might be more of your speed. Now, while it's still certainly a desirable suburb, Johns Creek hasn't experienced the same breakneck pace of development that Alpharetta has. That means it's managed to hold on more of its suburban charm. It's just much slower and quiet as you drive through. You're still close to major employers, great schools, shopping, but without quite as much of the hustle and bustle. Of course, that also means you're gonna find fewer entertainment and nightlife options here within the city limits, and you may need to head into Alpharetta or some other nearby areas for a more city-style experience. But for many people, that's part of the appeal here. Point for Johns Creek. So on the one hand, Alpharetta has a great downtown. I think if you were to ask what the city center is, some would probably say the Avalon, and works better in that regard, but downtown Alpharetta is the OG. What used to be a quiet small town center is now very bustling and filled with energy, trendy restaurants, boutique shops, and year-round events. The city has done a really good job of preserving its historic charm while adding some modern touches. It's a really nice blend of historic and modern. One of the best things about downtown Alpharetta is how walkable it is. You can park your car and easily stroll from place to place, whether you're grabbing coffee, shopping at the boutiques, maybe getting some food, or all of the above. There's also a great mix of outdoor seating, patios, and rooftop bars that make it a really fun spot to hang out either day or at night. There's a green space right in front of City Hall and is a great gathering space where they have live music, food festivals, farmers markets, things like that. Throughout the year are larger events like Alpharetta Art in the Park, Taste of Alpharetta, and some holiday celebrations. If you're in town, make sure you stop by. For Johns Creek, this is a major gap for them in that it has no downtown or city center. If you're looking for more to do around town, you're probably, again, heading over into Alpharetta to check out Halcyon, the Avalon, or their downtown, or maybe over in Duluth for some of their evening events, or some of the great restaurants over there. Pretty much every city around Atlanta has a centralized Main Street area, whether it's historic like Marietta or maybe something recently designed and built from scratch like Cummings City Center. But there's no Main Street area in Johns Creek yet. Recently, Johns Creek City Council has officially approved a new 192-acre town center development, so they're gonna get to be cool kids too. The project includes 2 major features: a 42-acre medley project. This is mixed-use hub with luxury homes, shops, dining, green space, and new public parks. And then Creekside Park, which is gonna be a revamped waterfront right behind City Hall. trails, sidewalks, transportation updates designed for community gathering. Eventually, Johns Creek may come to rival Alpharetta for best town center once it actually gets its own, but for now, Alpharetta is still the champ. Alpharetta is more central, giving you easier access not only to Atlanta, but also the rest of the metro area suburbs. In fact, Alpharetta's infrastructure is a lot of the reason some of these other suburbs even exist in the first place. Residents wanted to be close by, but Alpharetta was already full, so they created their own community, like Johns Creek, for example. You got Roswell to the southeast, the Chattahoochee River is not too far away, and Milton is over to the northwest. It sits just about 25 miles north of downtown Atlanta, making it one of the few suburbs of Atlanta where you might actually commute into the big city. If you love the outdoors, places like Lake Lanier, Chattahoochee River, and the North Georgia Mountains are just a short drive away. Alpharetta really sits at the center of a main gravitational pull all across North Atlanta, especially over on the east side. Now, Johns Creek is right next door, and again, Johns Creek was created because people wanted to be close to everything that Alpharetta has, but in a quieter, less crowded area. And that's exactly what Johns Creek is. It's just this smaller community of people with great schools, great homes, within arm's reach of what Metro Atlanta has to offer, but far enough away that it's still super quiet. There are some major roads in Johns Creek, but none of the major highways actually run through it. It sits right in the middle of Highway 400 and I-85. That means you've got to fight your way over to the highway before you can actually start getting to where it is that you're going. During rush hour, it's not uncommon for a 20-minute drive to take twice as long just to reach an entrance ramp. Roads like Metlock Bridge, State Bridge, Old Alabama are gonna get jammed up pretty quickly, especially with all the school traffic and local businesses squeezed along the way. There are plenty of traffic lights, but not a lot of room to move, and one fender bender is gonna slow everything down to a crawl. If there's construction, forget about it. Point goes to Alpharetta on this one. On the average, Johns Creek tends to be a higher price point than Alpharetta, and this is for a number of reasons. Number one is gonna be zoning and development. Johns Creek has more restrictive zoning and a stronger emphasis on maintaining a suburban residential character with less commercial development. This is gonna limit new housing supply, especially for more affordable homes, which is gonna keep prices elevated. Number two is housing stock. Johns Creek features many newer, larger homes, often in gated swim tennis communities that naturally carry higher price tags than older, maybe more modest homes. Alpharetta, while definitely affluent in its own right, includes a broader mix of housing types and price points, including more townhomes and redevelopment area. In addition, there's just way less home supply available in Johns Creek. Currently, there are 81 homes for sale in Johns Creek compared to Alpharetta's 470. That's more than 5 times. And then number three is perceived prestige. Johns Creek often carries a perception of exclusivity and is ranked as one of the safest cities in Georgia. That prestige can influence demand, especially among buyers relocating from out of state or internationally. Listen, when Travel and Leisure names Johns Creek the best suburb in America, and Niche.com ranks it number 4 suburb in the US and number 10 best place to live in the US, you have to imagine that it's gonna cost a bit more, right? Point goes to Alpharetta. Johns Creek is a leader in healthcare accessibility and quality, providing its residents with top-tier medical services that are close to home. At the heart of the city's healthcare system is Emory Johns Creek Hospital. This is a state-of-the-art facility that combines advanced technology with patient-centered care. As part of the Emory Healthcare Network, the hospital offers a wide range of specialties, including cardiology, oncology, orthopedics, and women's health. Alpharetta, on the other hand, features medical campuses which provide outpatient services. If you have inpatient care needs, you're going to be relying on nearby hospitals like Wellstar North Fulton Hospital over in Roswell. There's a Northside Medical Campus in Alpharetta and Northside Atlanta Primary Care. And while smaller, they are still highly rated for what they do. Point goes to Johns Creek over here. Schools in Georgia are going to be divided by the county lines, which means schools in Alpharetta and Johns Creek are going to be in Fulton County School System, which gets an A on niche.com, a number 12 school systems around Atlanta. Now, I always say this, but Fulton County also has this really weird shape that stretches all the way south of the city. If you just took what you would expect Fulton County to be, all of those high schools are getting A's, A pluses, and I think it's gonna be top 3, maybe top 2, maybe even top 1 in the state. Last disclaimer that I'm gonna talk about schools from the perspective of third-party sites and data. We're looking at the letter grade from niche.com, the rating out of 10 from greatschools.org, and the rating out of 100 from US News. Alpharetta High is centrally located. It gets an A+ on niche.com, an 8 out of 10 on greatschools.org, and a 96 on US News. Strong start. Chattahoochee High is on the south side. It gets an A+ on niche.com, a 9 out of 10 on greatschools.org, and a 98 on US News. That will take over the number 1 spot above Alpharetta. Finally, in Alpharetta, there's Cambridge High on the north side. It gets an A+ on niche.com, a 9 out of 10 on greatschools.org, and a 96 on US News. It's gonna go under Chattahoochee and above Alpharetta. Those options are going to be hard to beat. So let's take a look at what Johns Creek has. If you're on the south side of Johns Creek, and for the bulk of the city, you're gonna be zoned for Johns Creek High School. It's going to get an A+ on niche.com, a 9 out of 10 on greatschools.org, and a 96 on US News. Now, technically it's a 96.19, while Cambridge High gets a 95.84, so that's gonna inch itself into the number 2 spot. And finally, if you're on the northeast side, you're gonna have Northview High. It gets an A+ on niche.com, ranked number 5 in all of Georgia, and gets the coveted 10 out of 10 on greatschools.org, and a 98 on US News. That will knock everything down and take over at number 1. This is super close. Johns Creek takes gold and bronze. Point goes to Johns Creek here. Obligatory disclaimer that my code of ethics impedes me from speaking about safety as my own opinion. There is a long history of realtors steering folks towards or away from certain towns under the guise of safety. What I will do is cite data from third-party sites, so if something happens, please don't sue me. Let's see what Neighborhood Scout has to say about Alpharetta. The crime rate in Alpharetta is considerably higher than the national average across all communities in America, from the largest to the smallest. Although at 17 crimes per 1,000 residents, it is not among the communities with the very highest crime rate. The chance of becoming a victim of either violent or property crime in Alpharetta is 1 in 60. Based on FBI crime data, Alpharetta is not one of the safest communities in America. Relative to Georgia, Alpharetta has a crime rate that is higher than 64% of the state's cities and towns of all sizes. However, compared to other communities of similar population size, Alpharetta has a crime rate that is noticeably lower than the average. This means that for comparably sized cities all across America, Alpharetta is actually safer than most, according to Neighborhood Scout's exclusive analysis of FBI crime data. Solid endorsement here. Not going to be on any top 10 safest cities, but it will certainly be above average. Now, let's take a look at Johns Creek. Johns Creek is safer than the majority of cities, towns, and villages in America, and also has a lower crime rate than 65% of communities in Georgia, according to Neighborhood Scout's analysis of FBI crime data. How risky is that? Your chance of becoming a victim in Johns Creek is 1 in 157 based on the total crime rate. In America overall, your chance of becoming a victim of crime is 1 in 44. It is for these reasons that Johns Creek is ranked as one of the top 100 safest cities in the USA. Now, in addition to that, Safewise.com is going to name Johns Creek as the number 5 safest city in all of Georgia. Easy point for Johns Creek here. Alpharetta has a ton of amenities as far as things to do, nightlife, parks, restaurants, etc. It's a bit of a mecca for Metro Atlanta, especially over on the east side. So much so that a lot of the surrounding communities are traveling into Alpharetta for everything that it has to offer. Now, I keep mentioning the Avalon, which I would consider the number 1 hotspot for perhaps all of the Atlanta area. Anywhere that is developing a mixed-use facility like the town center in Johns Creek that I was talking about before, it's gonna get its blueprint from the Avalon. Downtown Alpharetta, as I mentioned before, is a great spot as well. Certainly not as popular or well-loved as the Avalon, but it's also just smaller and doesn't have the parking facilities to accommodate the larger numbers like the Avalon does. And Alpharetta is one of the few cities in Metro Atlanta, maybe even in the US, that still has a functioning mall. For now. We'll see how much longer it lasts. Johns Creek, on the other hand, is pretty limited when it comes to entertainment and nightlife. It can be pretty sleepy. It's mostly a quiet suburb of neighborhoods with no major attraction to draw people in. If you're looking for live music, trendy bars, or even just a spot to grab dessert late at night, you're probably heading over into Alpharetta, maybe Duluth, or maybe even into the city. There just aren't many options to hang out past dinner hours. Most restaurants are gonna close a little bit earlier, and aside from a few local favorites, there's not much that encourages people to stick around or socialize outside of the house. There's no real scene or central hub where people can gather. No main street for window shopping, no late night coffee shop or open mic nights, or some sort of spontaneous live music thing. It's one of the biggest things missing in what's otherwise a thriving place to live. Point goes to Alpharetta. And the winner is a tie. Listen, this is really close. These are two of the most popular suburbs around. Use this data to dial in the things that are most important to you so you can make the best decision. If you need more options or some more info, check out this playlist over here so you can learn about all the different suburbs around Atlanta, or even better yet, just give me a call and we can chat about it. I'll see you in the next one.